Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management, the world's leading fitness business coaches who in 2015 will help you #grow your business. This is the world's #1 podcast for fitness business owners and managers. We interview real owners and learn what has been working for them to make them so successful. Here's the host of the Fitness Business Podcast, Chantal.
Hey guys, can you believe it is our second last show for 2015? I feel like the last 6 months have absolutely flown by. We have had so many amazing guests, so I figure why stop now? Now, you know that December has been our month to celebrate women in fitness. They are females who inspire us and who have led the way for so many of us in the industry. So far this month, we've had Amy Dixon in show 29, we had Molly Kemmer in show 30, and this week it was my absolute pleasure and privilege to interview Casey Conrad. For most of you, Casey will need no introduction, but in case you are brand spanking new to the fitness industry, let me tell you a little bit about her. Casey is the President of Communication Consultants for WBS Incorporated. They provide top-notch sales and communication seminars for fitness professionals in the health and fitness industry worldwide. She's also the author of Selling Fitness, the complete guide to selling health club memberships, and she has created 20 other sales, marketing, and management books for the industry. She has also presented in over 23 countries and is a regular featured columnist for countless publications. Now, during today's interview, we talk sales, and more sales. I asked Casey about key numbers and benchmarks for salespeople in our facilities, what the necessary skills are that all MCs should have. We talked about to script or not to script. We also chatted about referrals, and Casey gives us her top tips for helping PTs close more sales. This, my friends, is an episode jam-packed with amazing information. Now, we're talking 40 minutes of education, and during the show, Casey also mentions a few of her books. So needless to say, we've put all of the links in today's show notes, so you can jump over to Fitness Business Podcast and check out the books that we chat about. Don't forget our current giveaway. We have 2 ways you can win a prize just by listening to the Fitness Business Podcast. As usual, you can win our giveaway just by subscribing to the show. You head over to www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and click on subscribe in the right-hand corner, and that is your entry. Otherwise, just tell us your #1 insight from listening to one of the shows. Now, you can leave that comment either in the show notes of your favorite show or of this week's show. You can leave a comment on our Facebook page. You can tweet us at FitBizPodcast. You can even pop a comment under any of our Instagram posts, and our account there is Fitness Business Podcast. So there are loads of places you can tell us your insight, and every time you tell us, you get an entry in the draw. So what's the amazing prize we're giving away? Well, over December and January, we're giving away Michelle Segar's book, No Sweat. Michelle is a guest on show 33, which comes out on January the 1st. We will be giving away 1 book to a new subscriber and 1 book to someone who shares their #1 insight. So jump on now and comment or subscribe. Okay, crew, here it is. Enjoy my interview with the incredible Casey Conrad. It is my absolute pleasure to be introducing today's guest. A very warm welcome to the show to Casey Conrad.
Well, thank you.
It's great to have you on the show, Casey, especially during our Women in Fitness month. It's a very exciting month for us here on the Fitness Business Podcast. Now, I thought we'd start off by having a look at what's been happening in the world of fitness. You've obviously been, around the world speaking and consulting for many years now. Do you want to give us a bit of an idea of some of the industry trends that you've seen?
Well, obviously, in my, 30 years plus in the industry, there's been a lot. But I would say most recently, the significant trends, one would have to say the low-cost market, right? The low-cost budget club has completely and totally shaken the industry at its roots. And we, of course, in the United States, and I know that there are some similar trends in Australia, we in the United States have seen is a total erosion of the middle market, meaning that if you're not a low-cost club or on the high end where you're either a big box offering a lot or very specialized, you are SOL, because people just can't wrap their heads around that middle price range. What am I getting for $39 or $49, or that I'm not getting for $10? So that has been a huge disruptor, right? That's what we'd call it in the fitness industry or in marketing in general, a disruptor. The second thing, I would have to say, and this is more recent, so the low cost, came out back in, 2007, 2008, 2009, really broke in. But I would have to say the second would be this niche. The niche or boutique. I think that's another word that's being used internationally. The boutique club, whether it is yoga studio, a Pilates studio, a spin studio, a personal training studio, of course, the CrossFit boxes. And some would say, Casey, that's a totally different trend, but I kind of put them in the same box, if you would. That has been very interesting because what you have is really no big difference in the number of people that we are reaching from a market penetration standpoint. But now, in a market where you might have at one point in time had 3, 4, 5 competitive people, now you've got a dozen. And these niche or boutiques are taking 50, 100, 75, whatever it is, people from your club. That is the absolute, gravy in your bottom line. And so that is another big disruptor. And we're finding that, yes, there are some members who will belong to a boutique and still belong to your club if you're at the low end of the market, but they're not going to do both. So that niche. And of course, in the marketing world, we say you get rich in the niche. So good for them. Good for them for only needing 150 or 200 members to drive huge revenue to their business. So
it's really interesting you talk about those boutique clubs, because JT was on the show probably a few months ago now, and he was telling us about his experience with, I think it was Row House in the States and Mile High Run Club. And, he was telling us all about this because in Australia at the moment, we haven't seen as big a penetration of those boutique sort of studios as what has happened in the US. So I'm really intrigued to see what the next kind of 12 to 18 months looks like in the market over here, and whether or not we're big enough to be able to support those type of models if we see more of them coming over.
You will get it. You will get it. There's no question you'll get it. And the reason is the entry point for the business person is so low.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you don't need millions of dollars worth of facilities. You don't need a huge lease space. You can have 1,500 square feet or 150 square meters and, $80,000 worth of equipment, and you're in business. And all you need is a good social media presence and a strong referral base. And bam, they may not be able to get wealthy from that model, but they're going to be able to earn a living from it. Yes, it's a job, and they're going to work hard, but for a lot of people, that's where they're at. That's their dream. So trust me, it absolutely will come.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Now, Casey, we want to talk sales. I want to dive into your experience when it comes to sales. And so, as you would know, a number of our listeners are club owners. We've got club managers and we've got personal trainers that own their own studios and stuff like that. Let's talk about salespeople specifically. When it comes to those sales team members within our facilities, what would you identify as being the key numbers that we should use to actually measure salespeople performance?
Well, of course, you can dial this up or dial this down, but let's start with the core. Okay. If I am, as a sales consultant, going to come in and I'm going to assess a salesperson's performance strictly from KPIs, I'm going to be looking at, number one, how many leads did this person generate every day? Generate, not take the info call, take the web inquiry. How many leads did they generate? Okay. Number two, how many appointments did they book or have on the books for that day, however you want to measure it. But how many appointments has this person actually gotten on their schedule? Okay. And of course, those appointments need to be broken out if it was a walk-in or an info call or a web lead, right? So again, we're coming back to self-generation. I don't need to have a rocket scientist to sell someone who's walked into the club. I need someone who can go out and actually be a natural networker and prospector and bring people to my doors. Okay. Number 3, how many tours did they actually give? So I could have a certain number of appointments on the book, but if the number of tours I gave was poor, and again, which ones were walk-ins and which ones were actual scheduled, so I can monitor what their show ratio is. And then sales. And again, it has to be broken out. Their closing rate with a walk-in might be very different from their closing rate from a referral or a scheduled appointment. And then finally, referrals. How many referrals did this person obtain at the point of sale? Okay. So those, for me, would be the core. Yeah, you can start micromanaging more numbers, and depending on if you take an initiation fee, and are you selling month to month, or are you selling 12 months, or are you taking paid in fulls? And obviously, if there's a strategy that you're following, you're going to want to track that. But these, regardless of the type of membership this person is selling or anything else, those would be my 5 core KPIs that I, as a trainer, can't live without.
Okay, Casey, so if we keep that in mind, then what would you say would be, say, a benchmark or a target that you'd want to set that they have to be hitting to be staying in their job?
Well, okay, so first, that's going to be totally dependent on the club and their model. If I'm working with a client that their membership is a $295 initiation fee and $120 a month, they're not going to sell 120 units a month, right? They might sell 20 or 30, and that is absolutely fantastic. The retention rate at that club is probably going to be much, much higher than, say, a lower cost model. So that depends. But let's go with things that we can talk about benchmarking across the board, regardless of the model that we're in. The first would be, and you have to start with the end in mind, the first would be, what's the closing percentage? What should this person be closing? If they see 10 people, how many of those people should buy a membership? I fully expect and demand that my salespeople are running at an overall 65% closing percentage. Now, does that mean first visitor closing? Well, maybe not. Maybe that means within the first 30 days. Again, depending on the model. If you get a low-cost club, you're either going to make the sale that day or you're probably not. But if you've got a club that's got a huge initiation fee, and maybe it's a family club and they got to bring hubby or wife back, then you're not going to have as high of a first visit enrollment. But the overall closing percent should be 65%. At minimum. IRSA says that the average club closes 50% of the people walking through the door. Well, that's without any effort. Let's face it. If they're walking through the door, they're interested. Now, once you've decided their closing percentage, then you just work backwards. So if, in fact, this person, let's say you want them to sell 50 units a month, and their closing percentage, let's just keep our math easy for us so we don't have to pull out the calc, right? So if we want them to sell 50 units and their closing percentage is 50%, then they need to have 100 appointments that actually touring. And if their show ratio, again, just to make it easy, is 50%, which would stink, but let's just say it would be 50%, then they need to have 200 appointments on the books to get 100 shows to get 50 tours. So I'm going to circumvent your question a little bit, because it really does depend. I think the most important thing that you're looking at are several things. Number 1, the closing percentage. Number 2, the number of referrals they get at the point of sale. If your salespeople aren't averaging 2 referrals at the point of sale, that means a name and a way to contact that person. Not just a name and hopefully that somehow in the universe my chanting their name is going to get them to call, okay? A name and an email, a name and a phone number to call. If they're not getting at least 2, you got a problem, Houston, because the referrals are still the lifeblood of your sales, and if they're not getting at least 2. Now, that sounds horrible, but, that's what we're finding in today's day and age. A good salesperson will have 3.5 An average salesperson would have 2. So you really need to keep your eye on that, because in today's day and age, people will easily give you, oh, I don't want you to call my friends. So you better have a good system in place, and you've role played that to the point where the salesperson is very comfortable getting that. So, and then leads generated. I want to know how many leads generated. If my salesperson is not generating a minimum of 20 leads a day, whether that's through their referrals, through outreach, through corporates, through whatever it is, then we're going to have a big problem, because they are not going to have enough prospects to actually start calling.
Casey, during the introduction of the show, I mentioned your book, Selling Fitness, which is a bit of a textbook. Yeah, for most clubs now across the globe. How many sales are you at?
We just did another printing, so we have sold 27,000.
Oh, God.
Yes. And selling personal training is at about 5,000, but I only came out with that in 2008, I think, something like that.
That is phenomenal. Did you ever, when you first released it, did you ever expect you would sell so many?
Absolutely not. And I mean, when people hear that I've sold and I don't have a publisher, I self-publish, when they hear that, they just are like, and that doesn't count Kindle sales. I don't even count Kindle sales. I'm just counting my printed sales. They're like, most people don't even sell 1,000 books, never mind, 27,000. So it's been great. And quite frankly, I did it initially. I didn't do it because I thought I'd sell a lot of books. I did it because I was so young. I was like 28, 29, something. I was a pup when I wrote that book. And I purely wrote it because people wouldn't take me seriously enough. I looked about 16 at the time when I started my company at age 25, and I said, damn, I need a book to give me some credibility. And if you don't believe in the universe, here's an interesting statistic. I got on the phones and cold called 100 people in the industry, or people that might have attended a seminar that gave me a card, but I virtually had no serious clients at the time. And I just basically puppy dog closed them. I said, does this sound like a type of book you might want? Yes. Okay, it's $24.95. Well, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'll mail it to you with an invoice. And if you don't like it, just ship it back within 30 days. If you like it, write me a check and send it back. And I sent 100 books out. When I hit 100, I have never had to do a single ad for that book since.
Oh my
nor
gosh.
have I.
That is phenomenal. What a great story.
It's 100th monkey syndrome, baby.
That is so
right?
cool. That is so cool. Casey, in the book you talk about...
I digress. I'm sorry.
No, that's brilliant. We love it. You talk about the 8 steps in the book, which, and as you just mentioned, this book was written a while ago now. Has much changed since you originally wrote it?
Nothing has changed in the steps to selling memberships. Selling is selling is selling. Get a prospect, greet the prospect, right? Do the the meet and greet, do the qualifying, do the touring, do the selling is selling. What has changed is within the process, for example, step 6, closing and overcoming objections. You close a little differently than you did 25 years ago, right? The customer's much more savvy, and you better have your sales skills up to speed so that you don't come across like a used car salesperson. So, no, the steps are the steps, and that has not changed. It would be the delivery of how those steps are done that I would say has had some, very little, but some changes to it.
If there is anyone out there that hasn't read Casey's book, Selling Fitness, then what we'll do is we'll put a link, if that's all right with you, Casey, we'll put a link in the show notes so everyone can head over there and go ahead and purchase your book so that they can have a read. Now, let's keep going because I have a mountain of questions for you. I'm making the most of our time. Now, we find that many club owners query sometimes where the sales processes tend to be outdated. What's your thoughts on that?
That's baloney. Again, okay. Now, I say that, and people know me. I'm very, in your face, when it comes to sales training. Okay, look, if you are in a hyper-competitive market and you are a high-priced club and you're not at least willing to give someone a ballpark figure over the phone, you're probably going to have problems because consumers expect to be able to get that information. You're probably not going to completely lock them out of pricing. If they are making a web inquiry, and you send them back just a standard templated letter that's, very generic, they're going to see through that. So, are things out of date? No, but we have to modernize them to the technology world that we live in. So, for example, if a salesperson does not memorize the info call script, then they will never sell if they're underneath my watch. Now you say, well, Casey, how many people actually call and inquire about a membership now? Well, you know what? Not nearly as many as used to. However, there are still some people that will. And even if you aren't using it for, quote unquote, an incoming phone call, that script is the basis for every interaction you have with a customer at a high level. Okay, the intro and pre-qualifying, the qualifying and probing, the closing for the appointment, and the administrative and wrap-up. So scripts are not dead. The sales processes are not outdated. They need to just be tweaked to meet technology and a savvier customer. That's it.
So let's talk about those people that like MCs or membership consultants that quite often, are in that role that they're needing to have the conversation with customers. What skill set do you like your MCs to have?
Well, first of all, they have got to be able to establish rapport with people. I hire on personality. I don't care if someone is as unqualified as possible in terms of any selling experience. I hire on personality, and then I say, great. I actually would rather someone not have any fitness sales experience because I don't want them to come in with bad habits. I'd rather train them up and have a 3-month period where I might not get as many sales, but damn it, they're going to sell the way I want them to sell and they're going to be good at it. But I'm going to hire on personality. So they have got to be a natural, outgoing person. They've got to be a natural networker, and they have got to be able to quickly establish rapport with anyone. So, if I hire a 22-year-old who's fresh out of college, has absolutely no life experience, and my market is a 55-year-old wealthy person with a PhD or master's degree education, I'm setting myself up for a problem, right? But if I've got a 23-year-old that has an incredible life experience, has got a college education and has the ability to, you throw them in a cocktail party of mechanics or doctors and they're going to get along just fine. They're going to adjust and adapt. That's the person. So absolutely, positively rapport skills. I'd say the second skill is the ability to have an intelligent, question-focused conversation. Questions are by far the most important skill an MC can have because questions force the MC to actually extract from the customer what they want, what's important to them. And it also is the exact same skill set that helps you overcome objections. Instead of telling a customer what the solution is, you use a question to get them to come up with a solution. So I think that is absolutely, those would be the core skills that I would absolutely require. And as far as product knowledge is concerned, I'd like to have people that are passionate about fitness. I do. I like people who are living the benefits and privileges of regular exercise, because if you've drank the Kool-Aid, your passion for living fitness is going to sell a lot of memberships until your skill level catches up with it. For me, I had the unfortunate experience of my grandmother being in a nursing home for the last 7 years of her life with every single one of her marbles. But she was trapped in a body that had fallen apart on her. And I can remember vividly the day that I walked out of that nursing home. And even though I had been an athlete my whole life, I can remember saying to myself, there is no flipping way that I am ever ever going to be in a nursing home. I'm going to be 95, coming down the Alps off of a great ski and in for a hot cocoa and just drop dead of a massive coronary or something, right? So you got to have that kind of passion for fitness, because people don't like exercise, right? They're not lining up for exercise like they line up for a good meal. So you got to be able to convince them, hey, this is the best decision that you could ever make. So
that is so true. And when you talk about, there's a couple of things came to mind. First of all, there's been a number of our guests that absolutely are saying the same thing as what you've just said, being, higher on the passion for it. Don't, the skills, the actual, learning how to do the job can come later. Wanting to do the job and having the passion is what to look for first and foremost. So, yep. Casey, let's move on to, I want to talk to you about referrals now. Let me ask you this. Should we still be asking for them?
Oh, that's not even, that's a bad question. The question is, how do we ask them? Of course, referrals are the lifeblood of an industry, and I don't care I don't even care if you're in a culture where the majority of people won't give you referrals at the time of their enrollment. You should be asking for them and framing the customer's mindset so that they know referrals are our best source of business. And we know a couple of things. First of all, people who exercise with friends are more likely to stick with their exercise program. And we've already talked about when we were in the fitness center that exercise is not something that comes naturally to us. We live in a sedentary life, all right? We live in a sedentary environment. And so you are going to have times where you are not going to want to come in here and exercise. Having a friend is going to support you through that. Second of all, we do not spend a lot of money on advertising anymore because it's just a waste. We prefer to make our members so happy that they want to tell their friends about it. And so we've actually created this fantastic referral program. And let me explain to you how that works. So let them know this is why you're doing it. So even if they don't give you names at the point of sale because they're the type of person who thinks, no, I don't care about the free something or another. I'm going to wait until you prove it to me that you're going to take me and care of me and sort me out. You've set it up for a future referral opportunity. So that, to me, is critical, and it should be done right, not at the point of sale alone. If you are not having a referral conversation with somebody on the tour, i.e., why you should be exercising with friends, then you are missing a huge piece of that process. It should become part of the strategy, the culture, the identity of why your club is so successful.
That's great advice, Casey. So we need to be thinking about it right from the very beginning, not something that we kind of chuck in towards the end.
Salespeople do that because they're so scared shitless of losing the sale by asking for a referral that they don't do it. And I know I just swore, but that's how I feel about it. And the Australians can handle it. It's their own fear of upsetting the apple cart that prevents them from asking. But if they're passionate about why they're doing it and they believe it, that is going to get that person excited about that referral program. And look, we don't even have time to go into it, but that goes without saying that you better have a good referral program, both for the point of sale and for existing members. Because if you think that people are just going to do it because they're nice, well, forget it. They have a lot of opportunities to send people. So yes, there are a few that will do it, but most will do it because they understand why they should do it, meaning what's in it for them from an exercise adherence perspective, but then also, there's going to be something in it for me. And, oh, by the way, my friend's also going to get something because I don't want my friend to think that I just get the gym bag. I want my friend to know that, oh, by the way, if they come and enroll, you're both going to get the gym bag.
Okay, so let's talk more about that. In your experience, what's the best incentive?
It's on the market. You know, you got 20-somethings, you got 50-somethings. You know, one of my best referral promotions ever with a client was back, I don't even want to date myself. It was a long time ago. It was long before we were using cell phones on a regular basis. And we bought these leather jackets. Right? I bought 100 of them. It was a high-end club. And the only way you could get it was to have 3 people come in and join in a calendar month. And we would have these members who had more money than God come in and say, I'll give you $1,000 for one of those jackets. Nope. Bring in 3 friends. And I mean, those jackets went like hotcakes because these people wanted them. They were prestigious. They had scarcity. They had all those things. So it really just depends. I mean, look, we did an iPad promotion a couple years ago. We thought it was going to be an absolute home run. It was the biggest flipping dud. Oh my goodness. I mean, we barely paid for the promotion. So you have to do a little due diligence and do a little bit of test surveying with your members to find out, because truthfully, there are going to be some facilities that a free month on their membership is going to be a home run. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be others that they want a goodie. They want something, fun, or they want a spa treatment, or they want, so I can't give you a definitive. What I can tell you is this: the best referral gift is the one that's going to motivate that customer, that member, to bring someone.
I reckon that's good enough for us. So once we've gone through the process, we've got that referred member. What's the secret then to converting them to being a new member?
Okay. There's 2 things that you need to move someone: education plus motivation. Education plus motivation. When you've got a referral, that person they're at the very top of the sales funnel, right? They weren't thinking about joining, most likely. So what you need to do is, and in today's day and age, it's so easy with the internet, right? You could put together a series of short YouTube videos talking about the various benefits of regular exercise. You can touch upon the big key things. Maybe you do one on diabetes. You do one on stress, you do one on sleep, you do one on weight, So there's 4 or 5 of them for that person to choose from. And you say, hey, you know what? Your friend is da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but we don't know what your primary area of interest is. Click whatever link below that you would like to watch that's the biggest concern to you as to why you might want to consider incorporating exercise into your life. Now, that becomes a self-sort. So if they click the one on weight loss, then you know that this person's primary concern is weight loss. Now they go into an autoresponder system that's going to pump out information and tips on weight loss. And then maybe you offer them not just to come in with their friend, but maybe you offer them a 4 or 6 or 8 week membership specifically geared around weight loss. So you have to be creative. And this could be another whole interview, right? You have to be creative about how you bring people through your doors, because referrals, maybe they don't want a membership, but maybe they want a program, because they're not at a place where they're thinking, I want to be a member of a gym. But maybe they're thinking, I'm not sleeping very well, and there's a 6-week sleep program over there at that ABC gym. And my friend referred me to that, and I'm going to get a $50 coupon off if I do that. So I think you really need to think out of the box when you're talking about referrals, because we put everybody in the same damn autoresponder, and we don't understand, why is it I got 120 referrals last month and only 8 of them came in and bought? Because you're treating them all the same, and they're not the same.
Okay, Casey, can we now talk about personal trainers and their sales skills? Because this is one that this is one that I come across all the time. Do all PTs hate sales?
Yes. I would say 99.9% of personal trainers hate selling, just like 99.9% of salespeople hate customer service. Okay, so it's a personality thing. People got into personal training because they want to improve the quality of people's lives and serve. And because they see sell as a 4-letter word, they think that that selling has to be this high pressure thing, et cetera, et cetera. So it has been, and that's why I wrote the book Selling Personal Training. People say to me all the time, gosh, Casey, I read your book Selling Fitness, and then I bought Selling Personal Training for my trainers, And it's just about the same damn thing. Oh, yes, of course. That's called marketing and sales. I just packaged it in a softer way because a personal trainer is not going to learn the 6 steps of how to overcome an objection. They're not. They're not going to do that. So you can give them some basics, but okay, presenting their training options and overcoming objections becomes 1 step in the 6 steps to selling. So, the bottom line is this. Personal trainers, unless they have a full book of business, they better know how to sell. And most don't. And most end up not being able to make a career out of something they love because they're not willing to reframe themselves on selling and realize that they sell every moment of every day. Every time they meet with a client, they're selling them on coming back, right? So number 1 is reframe them on that. Number 2 is realizing what I just said about referrals. Selling is nothing more than education plus motivation. And if you can get your trainers to embrace that and look at perhaps programs or trials or something that gets them in front of a customer in a monetary situation, even if it's a 1 visitor, a 3 visitor, a 5 visit pack, and they learn how to educate and motivate that customer, that prospect, that temporary member, whatever they want to call them, then you're going to have a much easier time getting them to earn that customer's business, and then getting the sale becomes easier for them because they've already got a good relationship with them. Mm-hmm. So do they still need sales skills? Absolutely. They need to know how to present their package options. They need to know how to ask alternates of choice. They need to know that, okay, and you only do that after you get to know the customer as far as what are they looking for. But the reality is that the trainer, if they can learn how to educate and motivate and just simply ask for the sale in a way that provides the customer with a variety of options, they're going to get many more sales than they currently have. It's not rocket science.
I'm going to suggest that you've given us a bit of a taste about personal training sales. I think listeners, if you want to know more, if you want to really get stuck into it, then you need to go out and check out Casey's book, Selling Personal Training, and we will put a link to that one on the show notes as well, because it is a topic, it's a subject that comes up time and time and time again, and something that many of you I know are interested in. So grab the book so you can get more information. Okay, we're going to finish off on one last question for you, Casey, and you've just been absolutely fabulous sharing your experience with us. And the last question I've got for you is, based on your observations, what are some areas that fitness business owners need to focus on to improve their business overall?
Number 1, numbers. Most health club operators got into the business because they're passionate about fitness and they have little or no business experience. And when I go into a club that's hired me to do some consulting and I start asking them about KPIs, what's your revenue per square foot? What's your closing percentage? What's this? What's that? They look at me like a deer in the headlight. Numbers don't lie. And you have to. And this is why when I became a member of a Rex Roundtable, it dramatically shifted my perspective. And remember, I'm an attorney. I went in and got trained in tax and business and all this other stuff. But numbers from a day-to-day operational standpoint of a business are so different than just standard accounting numbers. So just like there's KPIs for salespeople, there are certain KPIs for business owners, and they need to be watching those. They need to be measuring those. They need to know what the average lifetime value of a customer is. They need to know what the average number of months a customer stays with them. They need to know their customer acquisition cost, their lead acquisition cost. They need to know their dollars per square foot or square meter. There's so many, and these are not difficult to find. I'm sure if they get in touch with JT, and Rex roundtables, they'll be able to get plugged into that and maybe even get on a roundtable. It's an investment, but it's well worth it. So they have to know the numbers, because until and unless you know your numbers, you are just making absolute guesses as to what to do. And you have no way of measuring, am I getting better or am I getting worse? So that would be number one. Number two, ancillary revenue streams. We witnessed this we've witnessed it in every single recession where there had to been a shift in how we got money and raised money, way back in the late 80s when we had the first shakeout. It was going from lifetime memberships where you had a $49 annual renewal rate to memberships that you continued to pay annually, and then it went to EFT, and then and then it, so there's all these different things. But today, in today's hyper-competitive market space, if a club owner does not have multiple significant ancillary revenue streams, so not just PT, but okay, what do they have for potential beauty? What do they have for potential wellness? What do they have for, any number of things? And some people are very creative. They have absolutely got to get themselves spread across so that in the event that a low-cost competitor comes into the market space and they lose 20% of their members, they're not going to close their doors overnight. They've got at least enough ancillary revenue streams that they can get more dollars per member. And that, of course, is one of the KPIs. What am I getting? What is my average per member monthly spend? Not my average per monthly member dues. I want to know what my average per monthly member spend is. So that's just a key number. So that ancillary revenue stream, in my opinion, is big. And then the third thing, wellness. Wellness. I am seeing huge shifts in this underground market where, with the boomer population, if you do not start to incorporate wellness into your offerings, not just fitness, there's a difference, then I think that you are going to ultimately find yourself in a place like people who didn't, believe it or not, people didn't embrace PT when it first came out in the 80s. They're like, oh, no, we're not. No, we offer 3, or 6 orientations. We're not going to charge our members for personal training. Well, now if a club doesn't offer personal training, you look at them and say, like, well, what planet are you living on, right? I believe, based on what I've seen and the kind of the dual world that I find myself in now, because I'm very engaged in the wellness space, I see that as a major shift. And I believe it was Paul Pilsner who spoke to Ursa way back in the late 90s and authored the book, The Wellness Revolution. He was way ahead of his time, Chantal. He was way ahead of his time. And I believe with our aging population that you are going to have to start incorporating wellness elements right from extra things all the way to your fitness offerings.
It's interesting you say that, Casey, because one of the guests that we've had on the show during December was Molly Kemmer. And Molly works with Exos MediFit, and that's obviously an area that they specialize in. And she talked a lot about that wellness component. Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I am seeing it here, and I'm seeing the clubs that are doing it are seeing huge jumps in ancillary revenue with their existing members, and they're seeing customers that would have never walked through those doors come in. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's an interesting place. I cannot imagine not being in this space. I have been in it my entire entire adult life. I'm 51 now, and I'm as passionate about wellness and fitness and doing the right thing as a professional fitness salesperson and club owner today as I was back when I was a wet behind the ears sales rep. And I really feel blessed and grateful to have been able to contribute to this industry.
Oh, Casey, I feel blessed to have you a part of the Fitness Business Podcast. And thank you.
My pleasure, really.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to introduce our guest for today. It's Hagen East, the CEO and Managing Director of Tribe Team Training. Welcome to the show, Hagen.
Thank you, Chantel.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for sponsoring the Fitness Business Podcast. It just would not be possible without your support, so thank you very much for that as well.
Thank you. We appreciate your support also.
So let's talk a little bit about Tribe Team Training. Can you tell us what's been, say, the number one highlight or success for your business in 2015?
Yeah, sure. I guess for me, the number one highlight this year would definitely be the growth of our tribe family, or the growth of our tribe, so to speak. As an organisation, we've increased our support networks, for clubs around the world. We now have tribe headquarters set up in Australia and Asia, UK, Europe, and the Middle East. As well as that, we've seen the expansion of our tribe headquarters within North America. So a highlight's definitely been the support for clubs in those areas has grown significantly. And there's also been considerable growth of our tribe clubs globally. There's been continued growth in our traditional fitness markets, like New Zealand, Australia, UK, North America. However, this year we've also extended our reach into South America, into China, and into the Middle East. So it's been quite nice to see those clubs benefiting from having a world-class team training offering for their members. And I guess with the growth of clubs delivering Tribe, it also means that there's been more members around the world experiencing Tribe. So it's definitely a highlight for me hearing firsthand or seeing on social media, not only that members are getting incredible results, but that they are making kind of real connections, forming real communities within the club community and also the greater fitness community. So yeah, it's definitely a highlight seeing members around the world enjoying the benefits of everything Tribe has to offer.
Given that you are so closely involved with the fitness industry, what kind of changes have you seen as part of your involvement in the past 12 months?
Yeah, well, it's massive changes in the fitness industry at the moment.
Aren't there, just?
Yeah, which is exciting. I guess one of the major changes for me, or the number one change probably that I've noticed, has been the realisation by full-service club owners that there are now 4 distinct fitness offerings within a club. For a long time now, the offerings within a full-service club has been the big 3, the gym floor offering, your group fitness offering, and the PT offering. And small group training or team training has been happening, but until now it's been kind of happening in the background, either within personal training or sometimes within group fitness. So what we're seeing in the industry now is that the smart club operators have realised that small group training or team training is now a major standalone offering within the club. So hence the full service clubs now have 4 distinct fitness offerings, those being the gym floor, group fitness, PT and team training. And in fact, in some clubs, team training has become the biggest offering, so outperforming group fitness in terms of participation numbers and outperforming PT in terms of revenue. Yeah, so the number one change would definitely be that club operators are realising the need for a standalone team training offering. I guess, another change, probably the second change that I've seen is probably in the 24-hour health club market, or the model. These models have traditionally offered little or no service. However, operators in this model, what we're seeing is, they're seeing the need to bring in some exercise offerings. And because of limited space in the majority of these facilities, team training offerings like Tribe tend to fit really nicely in that 24-hour club model. Then the third biggest change probably I've seen is the increase, or probably the growth, of the boutique studio model. So I think it's stemming from the consumer's desire to, for having a really kind of that care in an intimate and supportive community environment in that boutique studio model. And again, Tribe meets all those needs quite nicely within that boutique model. So I guess those are probably the 3 biggest changes I've seen in the industry over the last 12 months, the full service clubs moving towards having a standalone team training offering in their facility, the 24-hour models bringing in more fitness offerings like team training, and then the emergence or the growth of the boutique studio model.
Hagen, let's talk about 2016. Are there any new innovations or developments that we're going to see from Tribe next year?
Well, I guess in terms of innovation, innovation is one of the key philosophies of Tribe. So we always talk about being cutting edge in everything we do. We talk about continually moving forward in everything we do. So innovation for Tribe is kind of inherently built into the Tribe system. One example of that is you could do any Tribe program for a lifetime and never repeat the same workout twice. So we're continually being innovative and continually moving forward in everything we do. In terms of development for 2016, I'd like to see Tribe touch more clubs and more people around the globe. I think in particular, we'll see more expansion into the Australian, the Asian, the North American and the European markets. So in 2016, I'm looking forward to kind of furthering our global Tribe, more clubs, part of the Tribe family, more coaches certified in delivering Tribe, and more members achieving more connections with Tribe.
That sounds terrific. And tell us, what's the number one benefit if someone's to take on Tribe team training within their club?
From most club owners, what I've seen, most club owners' perspective, they're asking the question now, or asking themselves, I know I need to have a world-class small group training or team training offering, but how do I best achieve that? So in terms of the number one benefit that Tribe can bring, Tribe gives that club owner an immediate solution to the team training market. They can get into that market with speed, at an affordable rate, and with maximum support.
That sounds fantastic. So we're going to put all of the Tribe Team Training website and contact details in this week's show notes. And once again, Hagen, I just want to say thank you so much for Tribe Team Training sponsoring the Fitness Business Podcast. We definitely could not do it without you guys. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Chantel.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast wrap.
There was so many takeaways from my chat with Casey. Here are just a few of my favourite highlights. She said when considering an MC for your club, they should be an outgoing person. They have to have a natural networker skill and they have to be able to quickly establish rapport with absolutely anyone. Questions for the MC, they force them to extract what the customer wants, what's important to them. And that questioning skill set is also the same one that helps overcome objections. She told us that sales scripts are not dead. They are actually an essential part of the process. They just need to be tweaked to meet technology and to meet a savvier customer. Casey also said that you should be asking for referrals and framing the customer mindset from the very beginning. If you're not having the referral conversation on tour, then you are missing out on a huge opportunity. And last but not least, she reminded us that if you can get your trainers to embrace the concept that selling is nothing more than education plus motivation, then you will have a much easier time getting them to earn customers' business. Now, before we go, don't forget, over December and January, we are giving you the chance to win a copy of Michelle Segar's book, No Sweat. To win, all you need to do is either subscribe to the show notes on fitnessbusinesspodcast.com or tell us your number one insight from listening to one of the shows during December or January. It is that easy. Don't waste any time. This is a fantastic book for both you and for your clients. Now, the winners will be announced in show 37, which comes out on January the 29th, 2016. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining me for another week. Have a fantastic week ahead. And don't forget, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
You have been listening to the world's number one podcast called the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management. We are dedicated to helping your fitness business #grow in 2015. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au for resources, tools, and more to help you. And by far, the best value for you is to become a member. So join today at www.activemgmt.com.au.